Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kat, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite things to work with, which is faux fur yarn. And I know what most of us are thinking. I can't work with faux fur, it's just too difficult. Don't worry, I've got you. So stay tuned and let's learn about working with faux fur yarn. Hi everyone! Welcome to my channel. My name is Kat. I run NocturneCat.Crochet over on Instagram. I've been crocheting for about 20 years. I got into amigurumi about 3 years ago, and I made a really wonky dinosaur, but that wonky dinosaur started a love that has transformed into something totally different and absolutely amazing. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. I have a couple things that I like to have on hand before I start working with my faux fur. First of all is combs. Look, I get the basic ones because these work, and honestly my couch likes to eat them. So when I lose them and eventually find them a couple weeks later, it's okay if I need to get another one. I also have a pair of curved scissors. So I like curved scissors because then I can get around the eye. Ooh, see how it's got a little bit of a curve? Very easy to use when you're working around the eyes to trim. And of course, I have my handy dandy crochet kit with my stickers. I have another pair of scissors. These are a little bit stronger. And then I have my needles and of course my hooks, because I am going to show you how to first crochet with it. My favorite faux fur yarn is by NocturneCat. It is absolutely lovely. It's already caked, which is perfect. It has an assortment of beautiful colors. As you can see, here's a few of them. There is a restock, and I'm about to spend a lot of money on some faux fur, but this stuff is just lovely, and it has a really good quality. It's easy to use. So I highly, highly recommend checking out the faux fur yarn by NocturneCat. See how easy that was to find a center pole? This is like the holy grail for crocheters. Easy center pole. We love it. So if you do want to check out NocturneCat, you can check out my link down below and see about what's up with this faux fur yarn. Okay, so I want to do a quick demonstration of working with faux fur yarn. I'm going to zoom in a little bit with my camera here. So I'm going to have a little bit of my yarn out here. I like to use a 5mm hook. This works for my tension specifically. I use a clover. That is my favorite. You do want to size up to account for the thickness of the fur. It doesn't seem like it would need to be that much more, but maybe half a size to a size more. You'll have to play around with that, base it off of your tension. Everybody's is a little bit different. For me, this is the best. I don't have any gaps when I crochet, and it's also not too tight that I am unable to do my stitches. So I'm going to make a magic ring, and I'm going to put a couple stitches on here. As you can see, or maybe we really can't see, is these stitches are hard to discern. You can see some of the stitch. See these little crescents, which will be a little bit of a guide for where your stitches are. But overall, it's really hard to see with fur yarn, which is really the point, because you want it to look like it's a straight up stuffed animal. But that does make it hard when you're working with it. Some people use that stitch marker in all of the stitches. I only use it in the ending stitch because otherwise I will forget. So you could color code it, especially if you're just starting out and this is your first fur piece and maybe you're a little nervous. You can put a stitch in each of those, or a stitch marker in each of those stitches. I would color code it so that you don't get messed up on where your end of the round is, especially if this is your first time. So if I am looking at this, I'm saying, where do I go first? Honestly, you're going to have to go by feel. So if you can see here, this is where our ring was closed. I can find the stitch, first stitch, just by touch. And you'll go in and make your first single crochet. And then if I look really close, I can see where the yarn is gathered. And I can poke my needle through here so I know that's my next stitch. And then if I look really close, I can see a little bit of a crescent here and a crescent here. That shows me where those next stitches are. Again, if this is your first time, maybe use those stitch markers so that you can feel for it. I also use my finger to feel the back to see where I've gone and where I need to go. Because again, it's hard to see because you really can't see. I will say if you are working with faux fur, it's a very good idea to not have a very engaging background going on. I personally like to watch K-dramas, and that means reading a lot of subtitles, which is fun for me to do because then I also get to hear another language. But can't really do that when I'm working with faux fur. So just a word to the wise, if you watch things, don't watch something that you have to pay attention to. You've got to pay attention to these stitches because it's very easy to drop a stitch. It's easy to add a stitch. So here we go. We've got our first 2 rounds. You can see here, those are the stitches. So you can see a little bit of it as you go. So when you're working with it, you know, maybe have a light on or something where you can see those crescents. Another thing you need to know about fur yarn, and this is very important, you have to have it inside out. I know, our hearts are screaming. Inside out crochet? Absolutely not. Yes, I promise you with fur, it looks so much better. So this is what we would say is the correct side. It's not bad, but we can see it's a little bit tighter. The fur is trapped. But if I turn it like this, it's already fluffier. The stitches aren't as tight. And if I brush it out, it's going to have even more of a furry effect. It won't look like there are stitches at all. See how that turned out? Absolutely beautiful. This is why we crochet inside out when we're working with a fur piece, because this side is going to give you a fluffier texture. It's going to basically hide those stitches. You will be able to fool people into thinking that this is not actually a crocheted piece. Be like, is it crochet? I don't know. Because it's going to look so beautiful and so natural, and it's going to look like a regular stuffed animal. So that's just some quick how-to on working with fur. I'm going to go ahead and pull my camera angle back so that I can show you how I trim the pieces. We're going to go over to the next part of this demonstration, which is actually showing you a finished piece that is going to need some touching up. So this little cutie pie is Tango, the red panda, by Hookedontoast over on Instagram. I am in love. I love this piece more than I can explain. I finished sewing it all together last night, and I need to do some brushing and some trimming to really make it come together. So this piece uses 35mm eyes by Nerdy Girl Crochets, who is here on YouTube and on Instagram. And the fur yarn, again, is by Naughty Cat. This is Nutmeg, this is Mocha, and this is Sugar. So first thing we're going to do for this little cutie pie is we're going to give them a little brush. because faux fur yarn needs to be brushed out because the little fibers will get trapped underneath. And when we brush it out, it's going to help us give that fuzzy, furry look that we're all excited about and oohing and awing over, especially in the crochet community. We love a faux fur piece. So you want to gently, very gently, brush this out. See how it makes those tufts look so that we get that full fluffy effect. Right. Be careful around those eyes. You definitely want to get that brushed out because the eyes, when you sink them, will trap the fur. So I am very particular about that. I want to get as much of it out as possible so that I can then trim it so that it doesn't cover the eye. See how much is coming out? Oof. You gonna need a haircut. It's okay. And then I'm getting those ears because that's where the fluff is. And as you can see, when you brush out this faux fur, it's just beautiful and buttery soft. Love it. I will say I have been working with fur probably more consistently for the last year, and I do really enjoy it. I have to take breaks in between using faux fur because I want to take care of my wrist. Please be aware that you need to stretch a little bit more. You need to take care of your body as you work with it because it does require a little bit of a tighter tension, and you don't want to push yourself and end up hurting yourself. So big priority here. Take care of your wrist, take care of your body, and please listen to it. A fur piece is beautiful and exciting and fun, but not when it comes at the risk of your most important tools, your hands. So one thing I want to focus here is these little tufts in between the toe beans. I want to brush those out because I'm actually going to trim them. So I'm brushing them out real nice. And one of the cutest things, I love that Hookedontoast does this, is the little heart detail. So I added that in, and I'm going to trim that heart as well, but I want to get it nice and fluffed so that when I trim it, it sits the way that I want it to for photos and for the final look. Here we go. Let's get this one done. So much love. So much fluff. So the last thing, this tail, I already did a little preliminary brush on it, but I'm going to do it one more time just to make it nice and fluffy. So you can see how much of a difference it makes when you brush. You can really see those lines on the tail when it's brushed out. And again, just look how beautiful that yarn is. Oh, I love it. I am one of those people where I will search for the yarn that really works the best, and then I predominantly work with only that yarn. So I'm really excited to have found one that works really well and has a good quality and honestly very good pricing. And I love to support other small businesses as well. So this is exciting to have one that is so lovely that's also from a small business and someone that is a creator themselves. Okay, look how cute Tango is. Hello. All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our scissors. I'm gonna start with my curved scissors because I do want to check out those eyes. I want to make them pop. Often with fur yarn, you will find that the eyes get covered because the fur is so big. So I'm gonna go in here and you see how this is like covering up the eye. You want to kind of brush it down. I mean, I brush it down a little bit first. I'm going with the curved side like this so I can curve around it. And we're going to start trimming. I will tell you that you're going to have a lot of faux fur just chilling out when you do this because it is going to get all over the place. So just be prepared that your work area might get a little messy. And that's okay. That's life. That's why you only get to see part of my house and not the rest of it. All right, so see how that immediately opens up the eye? And we can kind of brush it, and it's already looking super cute. So I'm going to continue to trim this area so that it really accentuates the eyes and gives us a full look at Tango. We got a nice little blend. This way. There we go. Tango. So cute. So cute. The moment I saw this pattern, I knew I had to test this out and make it because it is just darling. I mean, look at that base. So I'm gonna also trim around the nose a little bit. I want to make sure we can see it and that it doesn't get in the way. Again, I'm going to be doing some of that layering. So when you're doing this, again, you're going to have lots of little fuzzies. Just take your brush it out. No biggie. Get those little fuzzies off. I will have a little fuzzy pile that I'm sure one of my cats will try to eat. What you may not see right now is my cat chilling out over on a cat perch. He likes to sit with me while I do my work. Both of them do, now that I have two cats. And that's where my name comes from. So Nocturne is a musical piece that's supposed to evoke the night. And I crochet at nighttime, and my cats always sit with me. Started out with just my one cat, who many have seen on Instagram. He is our local model. He likes to pose. I'll pop up some pictures so you can see how beautiful he is. And he always would sit with me, and he never played with the yarn, didn't mess with it, didn't bother him. And so I named my company Nocturne Nighttime Cat. So a little homage to when I used to play the piano, and also to my kitty cats, because they like to sit with me while I am crocheting. All right, so our face is looking super cute. You can see those eyes really well now that we've got this trimmed, and he's looking super cute. So next thing I want to do is these paws. So I'm going to go in where it's kind of coming through, do a little trim. And I personally like to trim a little between the toe beans. So if the pattern that you're working with has toe beans, this is a nice way to accentuate those and make them look really cute. If it doesn't have different colored toe beans, obviously you don't need to, but anytime you have a detail that's like an accent on your plushie and you're using fur, if you used a different color, or if you really want it to stand out, I would suggest going in and trimming around it so that it really pops. Same with this heart. I'm going to go in, trim it up just a little to give it a little bit more shape. So it really looks like a heart. Look at that. Brush the fur up so you get an idea of what it needs to look like. And pull that fur off. So now that we've worked a little bit on Tango, I'm going to put him to the side and I'll finish him up in a minute and I'll show you what he looks like completely finished. But I wanted to show you real quick another face so that you can see even more face trimming. All right, bye Tango. All right, so this is the next face that I'm going to work on. This one hasn't been brushed, hasn't been trimmed. I just finished the head last night. You can even see it's got some tails hanging out because it will need to be sewn onto the piece. This is the Snuggle Puppy by Kayascrochet. I am currently testing this one out. I haven't done any face shaping yet, but I wanted to show you kind of how the fur looks before you fully brush it. So you can see here, it's pulled tight in some areas because obviously you're crocheting, and that's why we brush every single time. So let's go in and brush and watch the magic happen. Okay, so here we are, we've finished brushing it out. You can see a difference in this already, just in the brushing. It already looks fluffier, looks cuter, in my opinion. It's much easier to work with, much easier to trim. Sometimes if I find pieces get stuck because I don't want to push too hard, sometimes I'll go backwards to kind of get those fur pieces to dislodge. And then I'll brush them back. So with this one, I'm very excited to work on this piece. This is going to be a memorial piece, actually, for my brother. His dog suddenly passed away, and I wanted to recreate her in fur yarn so that he has a special keepsake. And I'm very appreciative to be able to give him something like this. I think that's really what crochet is meant to be for me, which is bringing joy to others and being a little bit of light and happiness, even in sadness and times that feel very heavy. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this piece. Fun story, my phone decided to stop recording. So here we are, and I was working on this piece, which again is going to be for my brother. I continued to talk and ended up trimming around the eyes. But you know what? Now you guys can see them. Look how pretty these are. I am continually impressed with the quality and craftsmanship of these eyes. These are by Nerdy Girl Crochets, which is Britt. She is one of my besties here on YouTube and on Instagram. We met through crochet, and we started talking on Instagram because we learned that we were both very nerdy, and it was great. And she has continued to be one of my besties since then. My other bestie, Allie McKenzie Craft, also does eyes. This is a set that she did. This is Baby Saja. They are probably one of my favorite sets of eyes that she's ever made. I just love the sparkle, and I love that light blue. And on this tiger, it is just incredible. This tiger pattern is by Mo2 Designs. Honestly, if you haven't tried any of her stuff, you need to, because look at this. Absolutely adorable. Her shaping is amazing. Highly, highly recommend. This is Dotty, the cub, and it has 3 different mods that you can do. So you can make a tiger, you can make a lion, or you can make a snow leopard. I made the snow leopard and I made the tiger, and then I also made her bear Nanook as well. So as you can tell, I do enjoy working with fur quite a bit. This is not even part of my collection of what I've made recently. But yeah, so like, again, let's look at this tiger here for shaping. So this one had a far more intensive trim because I really wanted this nose bridge to emulate a tiger. So I did more trimming here so that it would be much shorter. Same with the nose, and then same with the muzzle. What I did was I trimmed in a circle like this to get that rounded look, so it looks like a tiger's muzzle. So this is my quick beginner intro to working with fur yarn, trimming it, kind of some of my ideas on what has helped me as I continue this journey. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Here's Tango with his little toe beans all trimmed. And if you have any questions, please drop a comment below. I would love to answer them. And I'm hoping that if this reaches enough people and people really enjoy it, I can make a few more because I do love working with fur yarn. I'm going to continue to work with fur yarn because I have a little bit of an obsession with it. And I would love to share that journey with all of you. So, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.